If you have your spring too light, it almost feels like it's too stiff, and then people want to keep lightening the spring to make it softer, but actually what you're doing is just kind of
making it worse.
You're making it worse by dropping into the stiffer part of the stage.
I can't tell you how many customers we've had.
Yeah. This is a rear shock piston that we use for off-road. You'll notice too, once I show you the Harley, the similarities in the piston itself as far as, you know, the design, that kind of thing. The stock piston basically has sharp landings on the outside. It has, you know, the step here, as we looked before. This is your rebound side. So the shim will cover, you have a shim covering here. As the oil comes down, it goes through this hole, comes out these holes. That's where your compression stack is. Opposite end of the stroke goes through here, out these holes. That controls your rebound. These are your compression holes. We use a little smaller hole in our compression than what the stock pistons. The stock pistons have a big, huge, the stock theory is you flow as much oil as you possibly can, control it with a stiffer valving. Similarly to what I showed you on the forks, coming off the piston on the compression side, they'll always have like a 44 millimeter coming off the piston. They'll run about 12, 13 of them, then they'll start just to taper down in one single stack. What we do is, with helping control the oil with the piston itself, that lets us run a little lighter shim right off the face of the piston to pick up the small bumps a little nicer. And then what we use is a 3-stage valving. We use this both for Harley and for off-road. The difference here, these are going to be your 3 stages. This is your first stage. This is your high-speed stage. That controls bottoming. You know, anytime it's towards the bottom of the stroke, this would be kind of the middle of the stroke or mid-speed. This would be your low speed. So when you have the stock stack, basically if you can picture this stack kind of reversed, that's basically what it is. They start out with, you know, they would have 12 or 13 of this shim, then just taper it down, you know, basically to nothing. We have the 3 different stages. So
it's just one stage normally.
Yes, normally it's just a single stage.
Okay.
Sometimes I'll put one little shim between the two as a pivot and do a 2-stage. The problem with the 2-stage, with the pivot that they use, a lot of times if you're coming through in a motocross situation, you're coming through a whoop section, you know, big braking bump section, there's enough pressure to open that first stage, not quite enough to open that second stage, and it pushes the shim into the second stage, and it'll stop for a split second and build pressure till it opens that second stage. So when you get that split second, that's what throws you off balance, keeps you moving. The middle stage in ours, what that is designed to do is blend together this stage and this stage. So what we have here is coming off the piston, you got, you know, our first 3 shims. So in a light pressure situation, small bumps, those 3 are bending over, picking up the bumps, you know, picking up the low pressure. We back that up with this stage, so we're going back to a larger washer, you know, which is a little bigger, you know, bigger than what we have here. So as this one depletes, the pressures deplete, it folds into this next big washer, which backs it up.
It down a little.
So yeah, so that now we're gaining more valving control. That's your second stage. Then it does it again once it exhausts the second stage, as we have, you know, these 3 stages coming together with that shim a little smaller. This shim, or this stack, will fold into this big shim, and then it's backed up by the 3rd stage. As I said, that keeps us from bottoming. In a Harley situation, this stage picks up vibration, road noise, aggregate, that kind of thing. Second stage, you step up on the bridge, you drop off the other side, pressure's increased, this picks it up. 3rd stage, you're coming down a hill, hit a big G out or something at the bottom of the hill where it normally bottoms on you. This prevents you from bottom. That's the stiffest part of your stack. Now on a rebound system, it's kind of the same theory, but we'll have off the rebound side, we have a 2-stage system on the rebound side. First stage, so when you do get into that dip and you're down on the bottom of the stroke, first stage is real slow, holds you there for a second. Second stage is also slow, but not quite as slow. Then holds you there for a second. Then the second stage brings you up out real nice and slow and even.
Now, if you have too much sag, will it bypass one of these stages?
If you have too much sag and you get too low in the stroke, a lot of times what will happen is, instead of having, with not enough spring support, instead of this stage, the first stage, picking up all the light stuff, it blows through this stage and immediately starts to be backed up by the second stage. So that will give you kind of instead of a nice float, it'll drop down and then it won't bottom, then you get a little, this where it'll kind of catch and change directions on you.
So it's important to have your sag set right, so you're getting full use of all 3 stages.
Correct. You're getting full use of our 3 stages. If you don't, if you have your spring too light, it almost feels like it's too stiff, and then people want to keep lightening the spring to make it softer. But actually, what you're doing is just kind
You're
of
making it worse.
You're making it worse by dropping into the stiffer
I
part
can't
of
tell
the
you
stage.
how many customers we've had.
Yeah.
We send them set up.
Yeah.
And they start playing with it, which is fine. It's their bike,
Mm-hmm.
can play with it. But they should play with it according to the instructions. They
Correct.
do exactly that. They get more and more sag, and they're going. It feels stiffer now.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've lightened the preload. Well, that's because they've bypassed.
That's because, yeah, you're missing, instead of having the light first stage picking up, all the small bumps and vibration, you're basically relying on the second stage, which should be like a
So
bridge
how
step up
much
instead
sag
of.
should they have
We follow
to
more.
make sure that they're getting full use of all 3 stages?
We use the bumper as a gauge on our shocks. Rule of thumb on a Harley is usually like when you sit on a bike, you sit down in about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4. As long as that's close for you, we use the bumper on the Harley shocks to kind of give us a gauge of how much travel you're using. If you're pushing the bumper clear to the bottom, but you don't feel at bottom, you're using full travel, that's a good thing. If you're pushing the bumper down and you have an inch or an inch and a half left under it, we know the spring's too tight.
But that's
we can back
after
that
you've
spring
gone
off a little
for.
bit.
Hey, George.
Hey, Kev, how are you?
Yeah, that's after you go for a little ride.
Okay, but if they just want to get close, how much sag should just the bike? You don't even care how much sag the bike generates.
The bike itself's not going to be a whole lot.
But when
it's
your
just-
person
when
sits
the person
on it-
sits on it, you want to drop in about a 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4, right in that
Half to
area.
3/4,
Yeah.
and that would be the same on the whether it's a 13, 14,
Correct.
12.
Yeah.
Half
Yeah,
to
the
3/4.
12's obviously the shorter the shock on the Harley side, the difference. The 13-inch shock has 3.5 inches of shaft travel. That gives us more room, kind of to ramp up. We lose a 1/2 inch going to the 12, so we have to ramp it up a little quicker. We use another 1/2 inch going to the 11, so we have to ramp it quicker yet. So the 11s are going to be more towards the, the 1/2 inch
inch.
range. 13s are going to be more towards the, a little over.
Cool. Hey folks, if you liked this video or you found it useful, please give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, well, give us a thumbs down. Please hit the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. And if you'd like to see each new video as it comes out, hit the notification bell and you'll get notified each time we put out a new video. Also, if you could leave us a comment below telling us what you like, telling us your suggestions or thoughts for new videos, we'd appreciate it.